heard me mention in previous audios that when you are leveling up, that you have to make some adjustments with your circle, with your sphere of influence. You got to understand there are some people in this world that fulfill a certain purpose, and sometimes their purpose just doesn't mesh with where you're going. It doesn't make them bad people or anything. They just don't mix. Oil and water just don't mix. You know, one person is strong in one thing and one person is strong in the other thing. But, you know, some people just don't need to collaborate. Some people just don't need to try to combine. They need to go ahead and exercise their purpose in their arena, and you exercise your purpose in your arena. There are times to collaborate and there are times not to collaborate. And you can't go around collaborating with everyone who shows interest either. You got to do your research before you do that. You got to find out where they came from, what their purpose is. How does their purpose fit in with your purpose? Is it going to make everything better or is it going to make things worse? What type of people support their purpose? You got to think about that, because if you collaborate with them, you're going to be associated with those people too. So you got to be careful. But the thing is when you are getting ready to level up, I know a lot of people wonder, well, how do I know who to keep and who not to keep? And I already told you, one of the ways to figure that out is when you see that there are certain people who are supporting your efforts and certain people who aren't. And the people who are offering you that emotional support or whatever support that you need, who encourage your efforts and see the path that you're on as a positive one, those are the people that you keep. And if you're in a particular relationship where you can't just, pull yourself away from the person who don't support you, deal with them, but deal with them on a different level, that's all. And as far as your efforts towards your goal, don't share it with them. Just don't. Don't offer any information to anybody who does not have a vested interest in your project. And even if they do ask questions, don't answer them. Because if they haven't offered you that support to help you along, they shouldn't be privy to any information that you provide, because that might be to your detriment, because they'll turn around and they'll go out in the streets and they'll twist it all up, and then right before you know it, any little bit of effort that you've made dealing with people has been destroyed because somebody went out with the wrong information about you. You got to be careful about that. And a lot of people who do that, they do it strictly out of jealousy, purely out of jealousy. And that's what they do. So you got to be careful. But another way that you can find out who you need to have in your life and who you don't need to have in your life is just to see how they behave. See what kind of life they're living. Because you got to understand, if you keep this person in their life, you're keeping all their emotional baggage and everything else along with you. You're keeping all that energy that they're pulling out from the street. They may be a good person and everything, but in order to keep their business going, they got to deal with some shady characters. So that shady character spirit is present when y'all interact all the time. And in them same shady characters, when it comes down the line and they find out that the person that they're dealing with is associated with you, it's going to be a matter of time where they're going to want to get a piece of the action. And do you want to invite that? No. So you got to be real careful who you have around you. Like I said, if it's a situation where it's a relationship that you just can't get rid of right away, then limit the information that you give to these people in regards to your purpose. Because they don't halfway understand what you're doing in the first place. You got to understand that. And don't waste your time trying to beat them over the head, with what you're doing and trying to explain. You can explain in the most basic detail, but if they're not in a position to support you and they're not willing to understand where you're coming from, you're wasting your breath. So just deal with them on a certain level in regards to certain things, and that's it. And if they choose to ask questions or anything about your efforts, just don't give any details. Just say, how's so-and-so? I'm doing fine. Everything's doing well. And just leave it at that. Because they're not in the mindset to receive what you're doing. They're not. And there's no guarantee that they're going to be in that mindset no matter how much you try to explain the situation. And that's the truth. So you got to be careful. That's the second type of person you don't need to have in your life when you're trying to level up, is the person who just doesn't understand where you're coming from. And they can't comprehend it. So don't waste your breath trying to knock yourself out and show them this and show them that and show them this and show them that. If they haven't offered you an ounce of support or interest in your efforts, you don't need to share nothing with them in regards to your purpose. Don't do it.